Hi, this is Angela, and I'm just setting up the Instagram here. Here we go. So, welcome. It's time for eclipsing ourselves, isn't it? So, the outer world is always a reflection of the inner world, or a mirror of what we're experiencing outside is experienced inside. So it's always a two-way relationship. And today I just wanted to share a little clip from a wonderful podcast that I was honored to do with Leslie Zehr of the Universal Dancer podcast. And Leslie teaches on what she calls the Serpent Goddess and sacred dance. So I need to know more about that from her as well. What came up for me when I was sharing my journey with the dance with Leslie was a little clip that I want to share now about the energy of a serpent or a snake. And then I'm going to share a bit more about how that also connects us to some of the energy of this eclipse and what we're letting go of.
The thing of I'm interested in the serpent goddess
Hope that
as an energy as well, because it doesn't stop. It needs to. I think the other thing with dance is it needs to be cultivated, and it needs to, like the snake shedding its skin, it needs to experience itself in new locations or new situations or new moments. When I was younger, we used to go out dancing a lot, and we'd always have this feeling before you went out at night. It would be like you don't know what it was going to entail. That was the ritual. That was what I was tapping into, was these sacred dance rituals that were in cultures. You would be capturing the energy of that time of the year and the people. And that's what the clubbing scene was like, or the party scene. And it's still like that, but now there's a lot of other influences in the scene. We're at the beginning of it. And it was that feeling like we have to do this because we have to experience this new energy and this new moment. We don't know what it entails. And so through my aging, I'm seeing that the dance itself always sort of asks you to keep growing. It's that DNA thing. It's like I need to either heal some other part of the DNA that needs healing, activate something, call something in. My most recent thing is that moment I had in the Sufi camp with Adnan, creating the space for us, because that's what Adnan's gift was as well. He created sacred spaces for people to pull the divine in. Is how we can do it in any moment. That's my fascination. I know Google and other people have been speeding up with AI, other certain factors of our technology consciousness. But for dance consciousness, when I discovered that you could find the way in the Sufi, you're exactly right. Like I knew I had something there. And I was like, what's that? I'm going to follow that. I don't know what it is. Now I have more awareness of what it is. It's my spirit.
So that's a little bit of the sharing about being in the moment. And these times, in my experience, since the beginning of this 2024, is forcing us, like a wind tunnel in some ways, to come into the moment more and more, to discover a new sense of the self. And this eclipse is very much, if you look at the astrology, connected to the South Node, and they call it the tail of the serpent. North Node is the head of the serpent or the dragon. So it's really, really emphasized in this April eclipse about letting go of things that no longer serve us, that no longer make sense. And for me, when I was talking and sharing with Leslie about that healing of the DNA, there are also parts of our species now that just don't seem to quite be very functional. And of course, artificial intelligence is trying to manage some of that and make it all seem wonderfully masterful and beautiful for us. But the ugly truth is, and it's not always ugly, is that inside of us, our internal intelligence is not connecting to the universal intelligence. We're disconnected from our heart. We're disconnected from maybe the truth of who we are. And it's pretty much been shown to me at a personal level, and also at that global level. We can see things that feel unpleasant about our species or the nature of our global community, and how we're moving forward as a global community, and what sort of future are we creating for the world, for the next generations, and what sort of potential do we have. So in the dance, I wanted to just touch on briefly this week how in the dance, this is manifesting for me as a very simple way to get out of all of the noise and get out of all of the, oh my God, the eclipse is going to do this and this and this and this. If you're like me, since January, it's not been the most easy year emotionally. I've been feeling more and more emotions, and not that they've been unpleasant emotions, not that they're new emotions, but my capacity to feel them is bigger. And so it's quite shocking, actually, in some ways. It's like that snake shedding its skin. I'm actually seeing the emotions more clearly than I did before. Whereas before, I'd probably be swimming in the emotions, going, help. Now it's more like, oh, that's not nice. Oh, I don't feel great. Oh. And just being able to sit and watch them more, and they're not pleasant, but also just being more available to be witnessing them. That could be my age as well. I know when I was younger, it was more melodramatic. And the difference from the beginning of this year, January, pretty much from when that first Pluto moved into Aquarius age, the age of Aquarius has already started, but Pluto moving into Aquarius definitely kicked a few things into place for me. It was like no longer thinking that I had to run away, or thinking about the emotions and going, oh, I wonder if this is connected to that, and the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone, and that emotion's connected to that trauma, or what. Who cares? Who cares, right? It was more like really actually allowing myself to see that I had a feeling and not running away from it. And believe me, this period now, April, it's only 3 months on from that January period, but it's really seeing that the emotions are not going to just disappear. They're going to still be there. And how can each moment, like I was sharing with Leslie in the dance, each moment give me another moment to just be with it, even if it's like I want to run away, being with that feeling that I want to run away. And today we did a dance healing online. So I'm sharing that online Mondays, 10 a.m. Sydney, which is 8 p.m. EST, USA on Sundays. And it's really just a space to start feeling our inner self. So I notice that sometimes when we do inner work, we kind of feel like we have to look inside. I used to feel like that when I first started my body work and started looking underneath my skin into my body. And I know people who hate looking inside. I know that's uncomfortable for some people. We're all unique. We're all different. So for me, it's actually very simple. It's really more about feeling with the senses of the body, what is that inner world? So it just starts to become more of a place in the sensory part of my body, not in the mind, but in the senses. And we start to map an inner channel. And Annetta used to do that with us in the dance class. She used to say at the beginning, we're going in. But the biggest question was always, what is inside? Because I know there's organs and there's nervous system and there's bones, but actually, if we feel our emotions, they do exist outside in the emotional body, which is outside our body, but we feel them inside. And they're not necessarily in the muscle or just in the organ or just in a fingernail or a nerve. So we, with Annetta, used to create a channel from the heavens through the body into the earth. And it's in Qigong, it's in yoga as well. We all use that channel in all of the movement forms. And when you do the movement forms and you do them with a certain, I don't want to say religiosity, but a certain aspect of creating a sense of this is a ritual, this is a place, this is a space inside of me that I'm beginning to experience, it creates an actual experience for you to start having a safe container to allow things to be felt. And it really was all through the dance that I got that. Every time I started to experience the heart chakra and feel it more internally, of course it would expand outside and in always. There was always that dance in and out. But that channel inside and going and allowing myself to feel it more and more gave my body a sense of containment for the inner space, for the inner world. And so when we say things like, oh, the outer world is a reflection of our inner world, where is that inner world? Growing up when I was a child, the inner world was a fantasy place. It was a place for me to create stories, perhaps escape into imagination. And it was a place full of the imagination. It also is, when we come to our senses, a place we can begin to allow the body to feel inside. So you can use the subtle senses of the body when you might just start to feel a sense of warmth in the heart, or you might feel an emotion rise up, but it can transform, or you might just feel a certain energy around the throat area, or you might have a feeling in your brain or in your head. So those subtle senses are operating unconsciously in our body all the time. And in the dance, what we start to do is create a conscious relationship to the unconscious parts of our body senses. And in that beautiful connection with your conscious mind to what's happening unconsciously, you begin to have a relationship with that body that's going through this beautiful ongoing process of shedding the skin every second, really. Every second cells are dying, new cells are growing. All of our body is processing for us all the time, breathing, sending things from one part of the body to the other, feeling what's in balance and out of balance, transitioning things from one cell wall, through one cell wall to inside the cell and out again. There's always a dance inside the body. It's incredible what's actually happening inside. And we tend to focus on external thoughts and give definitions to them. When we go to the body and start to listen to the internal experience of the body, what happens is our consciousness can start to allow things to happen more for ourselves. We start to be open more to the subtle movements of our body. And as a byproduct, you're not so distracted by the thoughts, which can be thought forms, which can be also thoughts that go in cycles that don't really go into the body. They're sort of sitting in the mental sphere outside and coming in and out of your brain and going around. There's a lot of talk about the eclipse and a lot of thoughts about it. But actually, if you sit and connect to your body, you'll find that the body will show you, in connection to your conscious mind wanting to understand, what are you personally supposed to be experiencing? Maybe January for you wasn't what it was for me. Maybe this eclipse will be something completely, exciting for you. And like, wow, okay, nothing happened. I can just have a good time. So every time we take our mind consciously to look internally, everybody's different. They may be experiencing internal differently. So if you would like to just feel what this eclipse is for you, it could be just about opening up to a new perception or a new sense of self that might be very subtle. It could be you might wake up 30 minutes earlier and do a meditation just because it feels good. And that could change your life if you continue that habit in enormous ways over the next 6 months to 3 years. So these simple things that we sometimes sort of think, oh, well, it's just a new thing that I take in my life, can actually evolve into a new relationship with the self. So there are some of my musings on allowing the eclipse to go into your body as a way to explore what might be some new aspect of the self, as I mentioned in the podcast with Leslie, that you might want to activate, something that you might need to heal, something you might need to just acknowledge and see in a different way, and something you might want to let go of. Or could it be something that you want to initiate as well, that is a truer, more authentic part of yourself, by creating any sort of container or habits that you want to implement in your life that allow that true inner self to come and be more supported in the outer world. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts about this eclipse. Did you eclipse yourself? And if you want to dance with us and explore yourself and your energy and how you can experience your energy more, join us online Mondays in Sydney 10 a.m. or New York EST time 8 p.m. Sundays. Thanks so much for watching.